How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome in. It's Joe here once again, and we're going to be diving right in. Hold on, there we go. We're going to be diving right into some good old Unity this evening. Let's just do a quick audio check. Music is way too loud. Let's fix that. All right, there we go. That should do it. So, so the intent of the stream was to dive into a project that I was working on with my 8-year-old recently. So this past weekend on Saturday, my daughter knows I've been working on a game and things like that, and we almost have it finished. It's pretty close. However, I was working on that game on my laptop, and I went to move it to my desktop so I could show it off in the stream and didn't have to like do two PC streaming, situation. And of course, there was issues transferring it and that type of thing. And so we're gonna mix it up and we're gonna jump into Unity. And with you guys on stream, we're gonna start creating something from scratch. So we're going to dive into, assets that I'm using, how I'm doing certain things. We're going to make a 3D character controller using Unity standard controller and their input system, and talk about how we can make that our own and put our own character into it and that type of thing. Um, so this should, if you've never seen Unity before, never really got like the inside scoop to kind of game dev stuff, this should give you a good overview of that. And yeah, we'll dive right in and see how all that works out. So let's go and jump over into Unity and just hit the ground running. We'll talk about what I already got up here going, and more than happy to answer any questions. Just drop those in chat. If you know anybody else that would like this video, please share it out with your friends. Give it a thumbs up. All the YouTube stuff really does help. So, and if anyone's curious, our music on stream tonight is brought to you by Creator Mix. They're free streaming music by Nick and D Nimmin. So check them out if you're looking for free music for your stream. It's creatormix.com. Yeah, so that was just a plug for a service that I think is free and great, really. So let's jump over to Unity. Enough from me. So here we are. This is Unity. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of this because this is really making it a pain. There we go. So here we are in Unity. Hopefully my audio is coming through good. Let me do one more check. There we go. Yeah, I think we sound good. So this is Unity. This is what they call a URP project. So that's the Universal Render Pipeline. Effectively, Unity has 3 render pipelines, which is the uh, the standard pipeline, SRP, the scriptable render pipeline. They're all scriptable render pipelines, but there's the standard, there's the universal render pipeline, and then there is the HD render pipeline. Which one you use will depend on what you're trying to do, platform you're trying to target, that type of thing. I like to go with the universal render pipeline because it gives you a lot of stuff like right out the box. So we're going to take a quick look here. So right here in this kind of top left section here, it's just the sample scene you get right out the box from N7. What's up? Thank you for coming on by, and big shout out to the ARE and Lo-Fi Monk. Appreciate every single one of you. So thanks for stopping in. So this is a sample scene that opens with a universal render pipeline. Basically, you just got a main camera, a directional light, and a global volume. So what a global volume does, for those that don't know, it's going to manage all your post-processing stuff. So right now, let me just click off of this. This is going to drive me nuts. That'll work. Right now, we've got a global volume. It just has some tone mapping, some bloom, and some vignette. And I've installed a couple assets and a few things here. Let me give this a quick save just so nothing happens there. So all I've gone ahead and installed, I installed an add-on for Unity called Playmaker, and basically it's a visual scripting language. It'll just help expedite kind of some of that coding aspect when we go to do it. And then I've installed 2 asset packs by a company called Cinti. So one of them is the Polygon Western pack, and the other one is Polygon Particle pack. So our kind of art theme will be coherent because I am definitely not an artist. But these are packs that I've bought the license to that I could utilize in a game, commercially, etc. But there's a ton of free assets on the Unity store. In fact, we're going to grab one right now for any of you that have not seen that. So what we'll do here is in Unity, you just go to Window, you drop down and go to Package Manager. It's going to open a window that looks like this right here, right? So these are a whole bunch of assets that we're not looking for. We want to look for the third person. Where is it? Starter assets, third person character controller. So this is made by Unity. It's a third person character controller that integrates the new input system. So what that means is, like, right out the box, it's going to support controller. Here you go, controller. This is my Luna controller, or better yet, Stadia Founders Edition controller. It's going to support that stuff right out the box. It's going to support mouse and keyboard. There's some button mapping that's already in there, and it gives you a controllable character, like, right out the jump. So we're going to go ahead and import this package because I've already looks like we need to update. So what are we at? We're 1.1.1. We're going to go ahead and update the package. It's going to download the latest version. RIP Stadia. Yes, for sure. Okay, so we just updated to 1.1.2, this third-person starter asset. We're going to go ahead and import it. You just click Import here. It'll go. It's going to say Unity package has dependencies. We're just going to do install and upgrade. And we're going to wait a little bit. We're going to hang out. How is everybody in the controller lives on? Yeah, for sure. To be honest, the Stadia controller is one of my favorite controllers. It really is. It feels great in your hands, that type of thing. I think it's an awesome controller. So this is probably going to give us another warning once it imports saying, hey, we're using the new input system. Do you want, pardon me, do you want both input systems enabled, that type of thing? You'll have to restart Unity, blah, blah, blah. And here it is. It basically says the project's using the new input system, but the native platform backends for the new input system are not enabled. In the player settings, this means that no input from the native devices will come through. That is a problem. So, do you want to enable the backend? Doing so will restart the others. So we're going to say yes. And it's going to do its thing here real quick. Click up. No, we're going to wait. And we're going to wait for Unity to come back. So just bear with me momentarily. Once again, big shout out to everybody stopping by. I appreciate every single one of you. Hopefully we can make something cool during the stream, or at least put something together. I know for a fact we'll have a character walking around in a world we create, probably within the next 20 minutes or so. So I really just want to share with you guys, like, how easy it is to get started. To be honest, a lot of being self-taught myself, a lot of game design development stuff. Windows 11, yeah. Hey! There's a new version of Unity. Yeah, we're not going to update Unity right now. That sounds horrible. And I think that's all we need for now. Yeah, that's all we need for now. We're gonna go with that. So in this scene here, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna right-click. I'm gonna go to 3D object, and I'm just going to throw a terrain in here. Right, so it's just going to give me this terrain. So if you haven't used Unity's terrain tool, we'll go through that real quick. I'll just call it terrain, that's fine. Over here in my terrain settings, terrain collider none, that's fine. We'll look at the settings. Basically, the ones you really want to look at is the terrain width. It's 1000 by 1000, which I think is fine. The height, detail, 1024. Yeah, all this is fine for a default terrain for this example. We'll just leave it the checkerboard pattern for now. So one of the biggest things in Unity, I find, is really getting around and moving around the ecosystem. So to just like pan around in the scene window, that's just my middle mouse button. And then if I click my right mouse button, I get the eyedropper, which is going to allow me to rotate up, down, left, right, and then the left mouse button actually clicks on things in the scene. So if I wanted to go to the camera or the terrain, etc. So we've got a terrain in here. Great. Enough blabbing about that. What I'm going to do for this terrain is I'm going to go up here to where it says. It didn't import it, son of a gun. So we're going to re-import the dang third-person controller because it updated everything, but it didn't actually import the package. So I'm going to my assets. I'm looking for the starter asset third-person controller. We're going to import it. Install upgrade, fine. That's just the default warning. Import. Much better. Here we go. We shouldn't have to restart this time because everything is good to go now. It should just import this package here. Only a tiny bit to go. Alrighty. Come on. You can do it, Unity. I believe in you. So basically, this starter asset released by Unity, it's basically a starting point for quick prototyping, that type of thing. I like the third-person controller because you can take it and kind of make it your own. You can add other functionality to it. It's going to come with, it's going to import some other packages out of the box for our camera control and things like that. So it's a great, almost there, right? It always happens. It always happens. So let's, here we go. Here we go. Excellent. So now we're good. Right, so it's going to give you this right about starter asset, and you can read about it if you'd like, etc., etc. I'm not going to. We're just going to click out of that. But in our scene here, what I am going to do is I'm going to go up to Tools. You're going to go to Starter Asset, and you're going to reset the third-person controller armature, which basically means we're going to put a third person, in the world. There we go. And so now, like, my guy's like way over here. So if I want to see where he is, I can select the player, which is this player armature, and I can go into my scene view window and just hit the letter F. And here we go. We can see we got this little robot guy. You know, I don't really care for where he's positioned. So what I will do is I'm going to take him and I'm going to go and move him. You can just put him wherever for now, as long as he's on the terrain, which it would appear he is. Yep, he looks like he's standing right there on the terrain. Crow, how are we doing? So now if we got this guy right now already, if I just hit play and we wait momentarily, I've already got a guy running around in 3D space. They can jump, they can run, they can walk. We can look around. Rotate around my player, and I haven't written a single line of code or done anything yet, really. So it's pretty good, right? But I don't want to make a robot game. You know, controller works. Everything kind of works. You could change, easy peasy. Yeah, for sure. You could change some of the settings. So let's make this a little bit more creative here. So let's see what is this player armature made up of. So I can explain this real quick. There's a main camera here, right? There's a follow camera, which is basically a target on the player. Like where's this main camera going to follow? Then there's the player armature, which is made up of a camera root object. Excuse me, that's what the player is going to follow. The geometry of the actual player and the skeleton of the player as well. So not a ton of stuff. Most of your settings for your camera are all here in your main camera, or for your controller, they're in the armature. So you could change, you know, maybe we want him to move a little bit faster. So right now his walking speed is 2. I want to make his walking speed probably 5 and make his sprint speed maybe like 7. No, maybe 3 and 7. That might be a better. So let's see how that feels. And you can just dial this in a little bit by changing some of the speeds in our controller. That feels a little bit more natural, right? Now he's running, jumping, and we got whatever. We can move around in 3D space. That is great. It is definitely not a game yet, but it is a start. So let's take a look at one of these asset packs that I've gone ahead and installed here, which is, where did they, oh, here we go. We're going to look at the Polygon Western. First, I'm going to open their demo scene so we can take a look at that. So each one of Cinti, who is the company that makes all these assets, or a lot of them, they all come with a demo scene. Their demo scenes are really cool. Let's save this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is one thing I definitely wanted to show on stream. So my demo scene's pink, and everybody freaks out, and you'll see this on Google when you start getting into Unity, like, oh my God, everything's pink, right? And it's because it's not recognizing any of the shaders, any of the materials, right, that make up your scene, because this pack was designed not for the universal render pipeline. But there's a super easy fix. So we're just going to go to Window, Rendering, Render Pipeline Converter. Right? It's going to pull up a window like this, right? It's going to go convert built into 2D. Well, we're not doing 2D, we're doing 3D. Built into URP, Universal Render Pipeline. Look at creating Universal Render Pipeline assets and respective render assets and configure their settings based on relevant settings from the built-in renderer. So we're going to check that box. We're going to upgrade our materials because that's going to upgrade our materials. Animation clips, we'll click that. Yeah, we'll read only, right? Initialize. It's going to scan our project, load everything in there, and it might not be able to convert everything. There might be onesies or twosies that we got to go through and kind of dive in and take a look at. And it's going to scan the project and reserialize all of our assets, and then it's going to give us a fairly large list of assets that we need to convert. And basically all we're doing is we're taking them from the standard render pipeline and converting them to the universal render pipeline, which will allow us to do things like add a lot of the polish to this when we get there. So as far as like the lighting, fog, color correction, a little vignette around the outside of the screen type situation. Also, I mean, there's a bunch of different ones, and we'll go through them. Okay, yeah, this is probably going to take some time. So, while this loads in the background, we're going to jump back over and see how everybody's doing here in chat. So, right now, we got a handful of people watching. I want to say big shout out for all y'all stopping by, which is Crow, Lo-Fi, ARE, and 7. Appreciate all you guys. And of course, as soon as I switch back over to chat, it's now loaded up the list. So here we are. It comes with this list here. It's got basically these three quality levels. So in the universal render pipeline, there's like a low, medium, high, or as you can see, performance, balance, and high fidelity. We're going to pick all three of these. There, it's got all of our materials. So here's 94 materials it's going to upgrade, right? No animation clips. It's got some read-only materials that we're going to do, right? So it's going to take care of all that. We're going to do convert assets. And now it's going to run through the list and just chunk away at them. It's probably a ton of them. Sounds like me at work, right? As soon as you go to do something else, it happens. Like I bet you if I jump out of the window right now as we watch this green loading bar go across the screen, next thing you know, we'll be done. So I'm just gonna wait. We're just gonna wait it out, so we can get to actually like creating something. There we go. So as you can see, all of our pink stuff is gone, and it says it did it for 111. And we got a couple that did not convert. These look like effects for the most part. Particles have a hard time. Some signs converted, sunbeam. So yeah, these all look like particles. So we'll have to take a look at those and deal with those afterwards. And it did our 3 quality levels. So I'm pleased with that. We can take a look here. this is back. We're back with the third person here. I don't know why it popped us back into there. That is not where we wanted to go. Let's go back to Western demo. Give it a minute. There we are. So here is the demo scene that comes with this asset pack. So if we zoom way out, you know, we got a train, we got some rocks, cliffs, buildings, water towers, banks, Grand Hotel, a barber shop apparently, the Undertaker, which is cool, right? Sheriff's office, the bank, right? So if we wanted to make like a, and then over here we've got, you know, more craters, trees, churches, cacti, oats, grains, barley, you know. And we could easily, if we wanted to really get an idea of what this looks like in this demo scene, so this demo scene already has a main camera. We can just go to Tools, Starter Assets, and we can just drop in that third-person controller that we've already installed. And now if I don't know where my player went, so let's find him. What I'm going to do to clean this up is I'm going to take, oh, here we go. He's right at the top. So there we go. The player is right in the middle. So if I hit play, we should have our third-person robot guy walking around. So here we are. So we can already see, right? So there's like this wanted sign, right? So maybe we want, let's say we want to get really creative, you know? So let's take the wanted sign. That's a good example, right? So this is how you can take an asset pack that, obviously I bought the commercial rights for this. I could, you know, just take this and add to it and release it, like as a game. I could use this as a level in my game. I paid for that ability. But when doing that, you kind of want to make it your own. You could lay out your own level, which we will do, that type of thing. But, oh, you think that was awesome, Lo-Fi? Wait till you see what I'm about to show you next. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in our scene view here. I'm going to go over to this wanted sign, right? So here's this cool little wanted sign, and it says wanted reward $500. Should let me get this. Prop message board is what they're calling this. So if I go, I can see it because when I select it, it highlights it over here. So I've got prop message board, and then I can go down to the shader. I can open the shader up, and it's going to show me this map for this message board, right? So now if I click on this, it'll show me where in the project that is. There's other ones I could load in, you know, so this is Polygon Western Texture 01 Alpha. So what I really like about their assets is they come with other materials you could load in, you know. So, but we'll go with 01 Alpha because that's the one we were looking at. And what I'll do is I'll do show in Explorer. What that's going to do is that's going to show me right here where this asset is. Open with Photopea. Open. So if you guys don't know what Photopea is, it is a Photoshop type situation, right? So now this is that whole texture for that sign. So what I'll do is I'll hold Alt. I'm going to zoom in because I care about the wanted sign. That's what I want to mess with, right? So maybe we want to do, let me find something to put in there. Give me 1 second. Just finding an image I could use. Okay. Cool. Where did that download? I have no idea where that downloaded to. There we are. It's in 00 game. Great, that's fine. All right, cool. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do File, Open in Place, and we're gonna go to 00 game. We're gonna pop this in here, and then it should be, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. We got this little face here. So maybe this is the guy we want to make wanted for $500. I have a feeling this guy would be, you know, a little bit more than 500, but you know, we'll go with it. I use it every day, like magic. partial to GIMP. Yeah. GIMP's good stuff too, for sure. Great. So I've actually spent a lot of time doing this exact thing because of Minecraft. Yeah, exactly. So all we really got to do is you could go. I like to not destroy like the Jeff. How are we doing? I like to not destroy uh, the original if possible. You know, like the original template here. So you can see this got like two different shades of brown here. So what I normally will do is I'll just create a new layer real quick. It's like a little off the beaten path, but you guys will get the idea here real quick. And I'll select this color. There we are. And we'll go to like the pen tool. Boom. You know what? It doesn't have to be that close. That should be good. Just change my color. Excellent. So, and then for this part, I'll probably just do something like this. Nope, didn't want to do that. Control Z. Did I not close this sucker? There we are. Make another layer. And now we'll kind of block out this part here to get rid of this character. And it doesn't have to be exact. We can just do kind of like a rough estimation of what we're going to need here. You know, we'll call that good. Actually, no, we won't. I lied. Go this way. This way. This way. This way. Could have definitely just used the brush tool for this, but you know, whatever. We're live streaming. Let's make it complicated. Why not? Now we're going to go here. We're going to select this color. We'll flop these guys around. We'll go here. We'll select the darker color. For this, I'll just use the brush tool, like whatever. And we'll call it good, you know? I'm not terribly worried about it. We'll call it good to go. We'll take our picture of lo-fi here. We're going to zoom out. We'll move this way. We're going to go edit, free transform. Get it roughly positioned, and then we'll worry about the coloring and all that other stuff after the fact. Looks good to me. What level do we need to support this game? All support can be sent via Jeffy's OnlyFans. For sure. All right, so here we are. So we got lo-fi, great, boom. We'll do this. We'll change the I don't like that. We're gonna go to normal, and we'll do a select, move background. That works, surprisingly. And now, let's just do a color overlay. Oh, it helps if I'm on the right one. And the color. Whatever. We'll go with something like that. It's fine. So yeah, we'll say that's good. We're gonna go File. We're going to go to Save, and then it resaved it. Boom, and now we're back in Unity here. Boom. There we go. Done. So now in 3D Space, if we jump back in and we just take a quick look-see, we can go over this way. We walk over the sign, and we see, oh shoot, this lo-fi guy's wanted for 500 bucks. You know, we go over here. Oh shoot, they're all over the place. They really Really want us to find this lo-fi dude. But with these, we can go upstairs. And as you can see, the controller actually traverses stairs pretty well, which is another reason why I really like Unity's built-in controller. But the camera's at my bare feet. Okay, cool. So let's get back to what we were doing before. So this is the demo scene. So we can come back here for like inspiration if we need to, or like if we're looking for something specific. Like we could just use this, but personally I think it's kind of a cop out a little bit, kind of. Not really, I mean, but in this instance I want to create something from scratch. So we'll hit escape, we'll hit stop. We'll leave this the way it was. I'm going to save that anyways. We'll go back to our assets. We'll hop into the scenes folder. We'll open up our sample scene. And here's our sample scene with just our third person character. And that's what we're going to focus on right now. So we're going to go F, right? Because we got this robot guy and he's cool and all. But let's see from this Polygon Western pack. I believe. Yep. We got some characters. So we've got first on the docket, we've got a guy they call Bad Guy, who's got a ponytail and a serious mustache, right? So there he is. Hogan's Alley, yeah. We've got this, what do they call it? Businessman, right? We've got cowboy character. We've got cowgirl character. We've got gunman. You know, fastest draw in the West there. We've got a saloon girl. Exactly what I picture when I think bad guy. Yeah, for sure, right? We've got sheriff. And we've got a woman. So that's what we get to start with. And each one of these characters have slight modifications to their like clothing, that type of thing. So let's say we want to make our guy the sheriff, right? T-pose, yep. Not for long, but what do y'all think? Should we go sheriff, bad guy, female, saloon worker, lady? You know, like maybe that's the game. Maybe you're a working girl, and you gotta get clients or something. Is that the game? Is that weird? That's kind of weird. Let's I don't know, businessman. What do y'all think? What character? Bad guy, businessman, cowboy, cowgirl, gunman, saloon girl, sheriff, or just the regular lady? If anybody has an opinion, let me know in chat, and we'll go with it. Bad guy? I don't know. All right. I think maybe we might go gunman. Yeah, I'm going to go the gunman. That's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to take the gunman and I'm just going to drop him in here. Saloon girl actually a spy. Collected info on the bad guy. You know what? Why don't we do that then? We'll do saloon girl, who's going to be a spy collecting info for the bad guy. You know? Give a little bit of protagonist decision making there. Like, are you going to give the bad guy the info, or are you going to go give it to the sheriff? And how are those decisions going to affect, you know, affect your life in this little western town? You know what I mean? So here we are with our saloon girl and our robot in the scene. You can see she's called character saloon girl 01, and if I open her up, it's actually within there. It's actually all of these characters in this prefab, just with that's the only one turned on. So like we could shut this one off, and I could go to gunman or sheriff and turn them on, and oh look, it's the sheriff, because they all use the same bones. But what we're concerned with is this working girl, is this right here in the root of the bones. On the big screen. Whoa, moving on up. So we're about to take this working lady, this lady of the night maybe, and right now we can't do anything with her, but we're gonna make a third-person controller, and then things are just gonna go crazy from there. We'll see. So what we're gonna do is in the geometry folder, you can see I've got the armature mesh, and on the armature mesh, if I go to it, you can see that they've got a root bone as the hips and the mesh itself, which is great. And then if I go to my player armature, they've got a standard asset third person. That's the animator controller. And this is where a lot of people mess up. There's this avatar, which says armature avatar. We need to ensure that we change that as we start swapping this stuff out. So what I'm going to do, just to show y'all, what I'll do is I will actually take Saloon Girl, and we're going to get her lined up here relatively in the same spot as our player, just for ease of operation. I could copy the values, but, you know, we'll go with like that. We'll say that's good, right? Right there. She's in the same spot as the robot guy. Roughly the same size, maybe a little on the big side, but we can fix that after. I'm going to take this prefab here. I'm going to right-click it. We're going to go to prefab, and I'm going to go to unpack. So I've unpacked the prefab. So now I can edit it and it won't mess up the original. It's the best way to think about it. I'm going to take this character working girl and drop her right in geometry. Oh, that's right. I have to unpack this prefab. I lied. Prefab. Unpack completely. There we go. Now I'm going to take character working girl and drop her into the geometry folder. So now she's there. And you can see she looks the exact same. Character working girl, but her root bone is root. This guy's root bone is hips. So now I'm going to take this skeleton, essentially the skeleton, drop it in here. I'm going to take these hips, I'm going to delete them. Delete. I'm going to take my armature mesh guy. We're going to delete him. So now I've got the right mesh, the right bones. I'm going to go back into the geometry, the player armature right here, and we're going to click where it says avatar. And what we want to do is use the character's avatar. You can see it's in assets, polygon, western models, characters. I'm going to click on that sucker. We're going to make sure everything else is good. Starter assets, character, good. We've got footsteps and all sorts of other things. We're going to go to geometry. Here we go. The root. Where's the root? Great, wonderful skeleton. I'm going to check my camera root, right? Because I bet you... No, we're pretty good. That's her shoulder. We're all right. All right, we're just going to hit play then. Let's go for it. And here we are. We have a completely different character running on that controller. All the controls work, you know, and this is using mouse and keyboard. You know, we want to get creative and plug in. So I will show y'all. Remember, I haven't written a single line of code yet, but if I take and I plug in said Luna controller, right? Wait for this sucker to turn on. And now we're doing it with the controller. A to jump, this stick to move the camera, left trigger to run, right? Maybe you're like, man, I don't want left trigger to run. Like, what if we make this, like, let her shoot? And then you're using left trigger to run? Like, that's annoying, right? I agree. Left trigger to run is annoying. But that's how the standard character controller is mapped. So let's talk about how we can fix that. And then we'll actually get into building a little bit of a world that she can run in, so she's not just running on like a checkerboard platform. So if I go to the armature, I can see that I have my third-person controller here, right? And this is where you can change like your move speed, your sprint speed, rotation smoothness. You've got landing and audio clip sound for landing. You've got footsteps audio type situation. So there's 10 different versions of footsteps. So as you're running, could you put the model in Blender and modify it? Yes, so these are just FBX files. The actual model. Yeah, you could totally put it in Blender, for sure. Um, how their models are built, yes. Long and short of it, yes, you could totally put it in Blender and do stuff with it. Jump height, gravity, jump time, player grounded, blah blah blah. Cinemachine stuff. Um, but what we want to look for is way down here where it says player input, and it's got starter asset uh, input actions. You click that, it's going to come here. We're going to open it, and we're just going to click edit. It's going to open this window where we've got action maps for player. We've got our move, jump, look, and sprint. For sprint, I'm going to go down to sprint, down to gamepad. Right now, for mouse and keyboard, it's left shift key. For the gamepad, it's left trigger, which I don't like. What I'm going to change it to is I'm just going to go here, gamepad. I'm going to go to left stick press. Right? Yeah, left stick press. There we go. Autosave. I like to always click the autosave thing, so when you make a change, it just automatically saves it. So now if I play again, and oh, I almost spilled my drink. That would have been bad. I go here, right? And this should look around. There we go. This should walk. There we are. And if I push in on the stick, I'm running. There we are. Right? A jumps. There we go. So like my control scheme, I can literally plug a controller in, pick this, you know, and control this character. To jump, to run, to walk, you know. So I'm thinking a real cool concept for this game to build out over probably a series of streams, if you really wanted to do it, would be that you gotta like sneak around, you know, like eavesdrop on conversation. So like if you're running, you know, past somebody, it startles them and they like get suspicious of you and start to like be like, what the heck's that person doing? Versus like if you just walk by casually, don't mind me, you know, that type of thing. So I think a cool kind of sneak mechanic, and that'd be the whole game, you know, where like you got to kind of sneak around, get information, bring it back to your source, maybe some information you're giving to the sheriff so he can act on it. Yeah, stealth game. There we go. Thank you. I sneak, stealth. I knew the words, you know, words are things. But yeah, let's start building a world out. So now I'm going to get rid of this saloon girl because we don't need her. We don't need that no more. I'm going to I'm not going to make this a prefab yet. No. We got a directional light terrain, global volume. Okay, we're going to save all this. Boom. Now let's go back to our assets. Let's go to the Polygon Western. Let's go to prefabs. Let's go to do we want to start with buildings or environment type stuff? What do y'all want to start with? Does the asset pack have a saloon you can enter? I don't know. Let's take a look. To be honest, I purchased this pack and I didn't the asset pack got a ton of stuff. So I don't know if it has an interior, but we could probably build an interior. So let's look. Hope I didn't miss much. Well, we can control our character now. All right, we got this church. Can I use my arrow keys to do this? No. Can I use the tab key? No. We got a building cover, some steps, doors. What is this? A bed? Oh, building double. Okay, so this is the interior of a building. There we go. It's just got no facade on it, front facade. Okay, gotcha. Railings, boardwalks, small building, large preset. Okay, cool. This is the jail preset. Awesome. Double preset, so that's like a double decker. You could build it, but I believe they have it. Let me, not the Undertaker. I just gotta find the damn saloon building, and then we'll be trading post. Okay. Porta-John. Ammunition. The barber shop. Bro, I know they have a saloon. I saw it in the other one. I mean, I guess theoretically you could make this Grand Hotel the saloon if you wanted to. How did they make it in the other one? You know what? Let's just jump over that scene and find out. Assets, Western, demo, open the demo. All right, let's find our saloon here. Yeah, here's the saloon right here. So what is the saloon? Small building saloon. Okay, it does. It totally exists. So I must have just missed it. So let's go find it. Scene, sample scene. Whoa. Okay, let's get acclimated back to where we belong here. There we go. Here we are. So now let's go here. Western. Prefabs, buildings. Small building saloon. Hey, Squids, what's up? Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, we're just looking for the saloon situation right now, and I don't. Oh, here it is. Boom. It does look like the saloon from Saints Row, for sure. For sure. But, right? So super easy. We could take this saloon. Drop it in. Boom. Got our saloon, right? And like you're talking about going inside of it, right? So let's do this. Let's go down, right? It's going to have a whole bunch of green stuff on it, right? Because if I click off of it, where's the front door? Here we go. Here's the front door, right? Right now it's got a mesh collider on it. So what that means is if there's a collider on it, I'll run into it. Like nothing will happen per se. However, I think what we can do is we can go back to our player controller. So here's our swinging doors, right? So the easy answer, we could animate them, whatever. We could shut them off, right? So now there's no doors there. They don't even exist. So if I hit play, here we are, third person controller. We're walking, time to go to work, you know? Boom. We're in business, you know? And then we're, whatever, we're going right in here, maybe, you know? Or maybe there's like some other shenanigans happen downstairs that we need to, oh, it won't let me, I got stuck. There we go. Right, so it's empty. There's nothing in here per se. But yeah, you could totally go in here and like maybe you gotta, okay, I gotta get behind the bar and then I gotta sneak in here and maybe there's, a document or something you gotta get here and then you gotta bring it back to the bad guy. You know? There's some collision happening there that we probably need to fix. But, boom, we got a building, right? So we could just leave the saloon there and say, okay, cool, that's gonna be the saloon, and like what's outside of a saloon. Let's look at some like props and stuff, or what's in the saloon, So we can go back to prefabs, and we can go to props, and we got all sorts of stuff, like pages and pages and pages of items and items and items. Barbershop pole, barrel, so like boom, we'll just dress up the scene a little bit, put a barrel there, maybe there's another stack of barrels like right, here, a busted barrel, pieces of a barrel, half of a barrel, a basket of stuff, beds, bottles, broken bottle, right? So like that might be on the ground outside. You know, boom, there's our broken bottle. You know, maybe there's a, you know, in the saloon itself, right? We're going to need a cash register, right? So we'll just throw that inside there for now. You know, there's obviously going to be some bottles and stuff and tables, you know, so we'd have to take some tables and things to get them in there. You know, the piano's going in there for sure. You know, we'll just throw it there for now. Because what I'll have to do is, come on, you know, push it right in there. Come on, get in. There we are. Now we'll go in this building. Boom. And what I'll do is I'll go in like this. We'll rotate. We'll go into the saloon. Here we are. So, you know, right? You gotta have some musical entertainment, right? So let's take this piano guy. And how about just the piano? That might be good. We'll go like this. Let's get the cash register. Cash register, boom, up on the bar. There we are. But we also need to rotate it, so we'll click this. We'll click the green rotation. We'll hold control because that'll give us like finite control of the rotation. Right, so there we go. There's our cash register. We can hit F to zoom in on the cash register and see like, oh shoot, that is not on the counter. That is in the counter. That's a problem. Lift it up. Probably right about there. If we wanted to, we could go to like an isometric view and look at this sucker top down. You know, so now you could really see like, okay, cool. Like the cash register actually needs to rotate more if we want it to be like perfect, like relatively perfectly square, you know, and then maybe it's going to move down to like the end of the bar, you know, right? So you just grab it. Probably like right there, right? We'll just say boom, that's good. Go back to isometric. And there we go. If we were behind here, and there's a post there. So let's push it this way. Boom, cash register on the counter. Now let's figure out where this piano is going to go. I think the piano, if we can fit it, should go right between these two posts right here. Like right along the wall there, you know, so it's like out of the way so we have room for patrons and things. Okay. So what we'll do, zoom out. We're going to rotate this sucker. Get it rotated correctly. Hold control to give us a little bit more locked in rotation. Click our move tool this way. Now I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go back. Ooh, I don't know if this, he might fit. Yeah. I think we'll be all right. You know, now we'll hit F to zoom in on the piano to see where exactly it needs to be. I'm thinking like right there probably. So there we go. We got our piano. The nice thing about using assets and things is there's already colliders and everything on it. So if you go like this, and I go boom, like here's my barrels. I should be able to jump on top of the barrels, which I can. Cool. You know, there's my broken bottle outside. If I go in, sweet, my piano is all set, and I can go over to it, but I can't do anything to it. I can jump on it. You know, same thing with the cash register. It's all good. There we are. You know, and it's kind of like Legos, really, at this point. Just kind of build it out, you know? So, like, if you wanted to go, you know, okay, the checkerboard thing's really starting to drive me nuts a little bit. So, what I'll do is we'll go here. Here, we'll go look at some environment prefabs. What do we got here? We got all sorts of stuff. Let's go with this guy. Boom. Right, so what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to have a reference for my material color, as far as like what color I want to make the material for this terrain. So we can go ahead and do that real quick. So what I'll do is I'll just go in my main folder here, and I'll right click. I'll go to create. We can go to, actually, let's see if they came with some materials, because that could make it super easy. Materials. Yeah, but all their materials are packed together, I think. Oh, no, here we go. Background card, background card, background card, clouds. Meh. Okay, yeah, we'll make our own material. Hey, ARE, thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Take care, get some rest, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's make a material. That's what we're doing. Create, material, boom. So here it is. Workflow metallic, blah, 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 specular, this, that, the next thing, right? So you can change the color here, right? And I want to change it to this. Boom. I want to make it flat. You know, I don't want it super shiny like that, right? Because it's like super flat material. You know, you could give it a normal map. There's another shader, right, that you could use. Yeah, they don't have it here, but whatever. We'll just go with that for now. So it's just called new material. I'll rename it to rename. We'll name this ground base, right? And now if I take this and I drop this sucker, go to terrain, go to the terrain settings, and right here the material, it's terrain lit, right? Which is this checkerboard thing. If I drop this in here, there we go. So we got kind of a sandy color that matches this thing relatively. So as we add in and build out assets and build out this environment, right? So I like to look at it kind of top down, like, okay, cool. And then this is generally how I like to build topography, really, is looking at it this way, or looking at it like square by square. Take care, man. Thanks for coming by the stream. Really appreciate it. So let's go back in. Let's look at some prefabs. Let's look at some more environment prefabs. You know, like there's a little rock. So like, for example, you know, maybe there's, you know, a bigger rock. Like we don't want our player to be able to get out, right? You know, so we can do something like that. So we can start to like close it in. Maybe it's in like a canyon is kind of the idea, right? And then you could take these, you could start, okay, cool. Now we're gonna put one here, but this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate it, you know, this way, so it looks a little different. Boom, you know, and move it ever so slightly, you know, so it's like built into it, right? So maybe we'll make this little part of the town in like a canyon where you have to climb out of the, like go up out of the canyon to get to, you know, the rest of the map, you know, and then you just ever so slowly, you know, build it out. You know, you can drop in other landforms, you know, like this is like a huge hill, you know, so like where do we want this? Obviously right there doesn't work, but it could go, oh, we could go over here with it, you know, probably. I'm going to say something like so. All right, and we can start building stuff up over here, you know, because eventually what we're going to do is we're going to get to like one of these where it's like a, you know, like a landmass bridge that you could get out, you know, like this. Because this already has a mesh collider on it, right? So another cool trick, if you're like, oh man, like, I don't know, how's that going to look? And does it look weird or whatever? Like you could go like this, right? Zoom in on it. And then you could go this way, right? And say you're looking like this. I could take my player armature and I'll go Control Shift F, and it just moved my player right there. So now if I hit play, hopefully I was close enough. And there we go. walk out on this ridge we just made, overlooking the town, you know? Because what I'm thinking is this little archway thing I got going here. We'll just jump down here because nothing's going to happen. This little archway guy might be how you walk into the town, you know? You go into the town this way through the archway, and then boom. There's this little town that whatever, you know, whatever the case would be. In this, like, canyon, per se. You know? Or something. So, we can just do that, and we can actually, once we get some more rocks in here, so we actually have these hillsides that we could use, right? So these are actually really great. I really like these. So what they are is they're these hollow hillside kind of assets that you could use for exactly what we're doing, kind of blocking out your level. Like, oh, I'm not going to want a player to be able to get out of there, you know? So you could take something like this guy, drop it in there, drop it maybe down a hair, so it kind of mixes in with the terrain pretty good. You know, there we go, boom. And now you got this like weird seam right there, like, oh man, that sucks. Not anymore, it doesn't. You know, you just place kind of a rock in there, kind of cover it up so it looks a little better. Looks a little bit more maybe natural per se. And it doesn't have to be that big, like it could just be like that. You don't even have to use the whole part of it, right? And so now, to give you an idea, I know at the beginning of the stream I said, real quick though, so we don't get confused, I'm going to take all of this stuff that we got going here, prop, environment, cliff, and I'm going to throw this all, I'm going to select it all, I'm going to go create empty parent, and we're going to, I like to name this ENV for environment. So now that's all in one thing. So I've got my base terrain separate, and you know what, I can throw my base terrain in there too. So now I've got my global volume, my directional light, my player stuff, which is up here, you know, and I could throw all this in a folder if I really wanted to. Create parent, PLA player, boom. Save. So now there's all my player stuff, there's my environment stuff, my directional light, and my global volume I'll leave out here because, did I just break that? No, I did not. So I'll go to the global volume. We'll take a quick look at that, right? So the global volume here, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to add effects, right? So right now it's got bloom, tone mapping, and vignette. Vignette doesn't look like it's on at all, really. Neither does tone mapping, though. Hold on. Yep, there we go. So I personally like the ASUS tone mapping. So you can see the difference there. Right? That looks kind of washed out to me. ASUS looks pretty good, I think, personally. So in game, that's kind of what it looks like versus that. So I like ASUS personally. The bloom, you're not really going to see it until you start cranking stuff up. So if I like crank down the threshold, you'll see basically it's going to blow out, you know, some of your highlights and stuff. So bloom's usually like one of the last things I like to start doing. The vignette, however, there we are. So you can see that. There's your vignette. So you could go a lot, you know. So like this is a cool effect that you can use if maybe you're looking through something, you know, a peephole in a door or something. But I like to just add a little vignette to my games just to soften those corners just a tad. Something like very subtly. I'm going to say 0.29 is probably the number. Let's do that. 0.29, right? And like, you don't think it makes a difference, but there it is. There's your vignette, right? But we can go as far as other, you know, if I go add overrides, post-processing, We've got color curves, depth of field, film grain, lens distortion, motion blur. You know, you can do color correcting for your shadows, midtones, highlights, split toning, white balance, all sorts of different effects you can do as far as that goes. So like chromatic aberration might be a cool one to use if you know, maybe we have an effect where, like, you know, you drink too much, right? And this is what happens, right? So let's look at this is with the chromatic aberration cranked all the way up. You know, so you had one too many drinks at the saloon, and now you got this kind of like 3D, like, whoa, I don't know, oh boy, I shouldn't have had all those drinks. You know, it's a cool effect for that, to be honest. You know, but I'm gonna shut it off for now, and maybe we'll use it later, which is like super easy to set that up. But let's go ahead and keep building for a little bit longer here. Great. So now I've got this one cliff side, which is great. So I can take this and I can just literally Control D, pull it out, change the rotation a little bit. Kaboom. Take this, push it back, push it back. You know, something like that. That works, right? You know, and then you just keep going. You take another one of these guys. You know, maybe there's another rock there or something. Obviously, this would be like quite the small town, but that's okay. You could make it a tiny little town. You know, our terrain as a whole is probably like way too big, but you know, where you could leave little places where maybe your player can get through. You know, so like, for example, if I go this way, I jump down here, boom, right? I obviously won't be able to run out this way. I can run up to it. I can run on it smoothly from our terrain. But see, like, that's a problem right there. I mean, I step on it naturally, but like that, both of those need to move down, obviously, into the ground some more. You know? Got some weird lighting situation happening here, so we'll have to like look at those shadows to figure that out. You know, but same thing over here. You know, like, oh, can I get it? Can I get through here? Nope. And you're just stuck in between there. You know, oh, can I get through here? Like, nope, there's just nowhere to go in there. So that actually works pretty good as far as that goes. What I would probably do is I would take this guy and this guy, probably bump him down, probably about there, and maybe even this one, to be honest, just a tiny bit, because now I should be able to take this. And this is the part that like can be painstaking, right? Like, oh man, this is such a pain. But at the end of the day, the time you take with it, you know, it'll look great. It really will. See? So like there's our little entryway situation. Like this guy, I don't like this guy. We'll probably get rid of this. But in fact, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of it right now. And then I'm gonna take this other stuff that we made, toss it in my environment folder, boom, boom. There we are. You know, so we're starting to block out like a little area where we could build a town, and here's the archway where you can get through. And then, you know, we'd have to give the player a way to kind of get up to this archway if we want them to walk on it, you know, all that type of stuff. But, you know, it honestly, like I said, at this point, it's kind of like Legos. It really is, you know, and you can just go through and, you know, start looking at stuff. Now, some of the stuff, there's easy ways to do it. Like, for example, let's say we want to place cacti. We'll use cacti as an example. That's a great example. So I'm going to go to my environment. I'm going to click on the terrain. We've got the tree, the paint trees tool, right? It says no trees are defined. So it's the third one in. It looks like a little tree. We're going to go to edit trees, add tree, none. I'm going to take this cacti, drop it in there, and add it as if it was a tree. Because now I can go and you can do height, so like random, and how big of a spread do you want the height, our density, our brush size, right? So I'll just click right here. Boom, cacti. Obviously that's probably way too many cacti, so you can hold shift, take them all away if you want. But all I'm going to do is bring our tree quote unquote density down, and then if I click, oh no, I lied. I lied. I'm also going to bring our brush size down too. Our density, I'm going to bring it down to maybe like 10. No, up, is that the way? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, here we go. So you can go mass place, which is pretty good. But what I want to do is just place one brush size. Oh, that's fine. To go down like 6 probably. That's way too clustered. Oh, there we go. That's what I want to do. So boom, I can put, there's a couple cacti there. Yeah, maybe there's some cacti over here. And there's some cacti right there. You know, and you could add others. So I go edit tree, add tree. Boom. I want to toss in like this guy. Good ground resource here. Boom. You know, and for this one, we're going to crank it up a little bit. You know. There we go. And then you do the same thing with like regular trees. You know, so edit, add tree. You guys couldn't see this window before because it's on the other screen. I dropped this like dead tree in here. Boom. Same thing. I slide this guy this way a little bit. Maybe I could do, you know, up higher, you know. Kaboom. So now if our player goes and walk around in it, you know, we can remove trees we don't want. But even just looking, you know, it already seems to look a little bit better. You know, now the size of our cacti, some of our cacti might be huge, and we can walk through them. That's a problem. You know, our tree right in front of the dang saloon probably isn't cool. You know, but like this one's fine. A couple of the ones through here are fine. You know, the cacti, we probably definitely got to assess that because these look huge. Cacti are not my area of expertise, but yeah, so you could use the terrain tools to paint other prefabs in the scene. You know, so and that's the same thing with like the detail brush. You know, so if there's like a detail, like for example, let's go to the detail brush. Let's go to edit detail brush, add detail mesh, right? And let's say we wanted to use this, yeah, environment grass 03, minimum width, maximum. We'll leave everything the way it is for now, I guess. Yeah, there we go. And now if I click, it's way too much grass because I got way overzealous with my clicking. Oh, and my target strength is, you know, just like that. I need to take off to Great Stream. Thanks, Crow. I appreciate it. You know, because then we can go back in, we can use a lighter brush, and we could say, you know what, around like these mountains, like there's grass like through the stuff, like that's a pain. You know, so you drop your brush size down, right? We can start, and it's got like soft edges, so I can hold shift. I can start taking away grass, because like there wouldn't be grass around here, like it wouldn't grow there, you know? And then you just dial it in, you know? So now when you play it, and obviously I'm just like throwing stuff in here just to give you an idea. It's not exactly how I would place it, but, or exactly how, yeah, how I would place it, so. But here it is, here's our grass, which is obviously way too big. It's like bushes, shrubs, you know? But it's all placed. And I didn't have to place all that individually. So with a lot of the foliage, that's what I'll end up doing. You know, for now, what I'm going to do, just to get us kind of back to where we need to be, is I'm going to go to Edit Details, Remove. That should have removed all our grass, yeah, it did. And then I'm going to go to Trees, and I'm just going to go to each one of these suckers, Remove Tree, Remove Tree, Remove Tree, you know, because we'll put those, I'll probably put that in after or last once I've kind of built this out a little bit. So let's see what we want to do here. Well, we want to save for sure. We can just kind of block out the town. So the town's obviously going to have a saloon, I'm thinking, right? For sure. We're going to have, and I think the saloon's fine where it is. It's just a matter of where the other stuff's going to be, because if you walk in over here, we could put some stuff along here, I think. So let's go back to Western, prefabs, buildings, and let's put this. Undertaker, do we want an Undertaker? I'm thinking it's going to be like a little town. We definitely want one of these, for sure. And a water tower. We need one of those. Yeah, a bank. We'll probably need a bank. Oh, we're gonna have to rotate this sucker and lift it up, I think. But let's rotate it first. Hold Control. There we are. Boom. Come out. Come. Let's see. Because I'm thinking if it was a bank and they were going to actually build a bank in this like cliff area, it probably would be like right there. Right? And then we could bring it up. Right, so that's probably where we need to be for the bank. Excellent. How are our stairs on the back side of the bank? They're definitely in the ground, but no, that's not going to work because I can see them kind of through the building. So I could remove them, but what I think I'm going to do is just put it there, pull it out of here. It should work. That might even be too high. Because see, no, the collider's there. We should be all right. But that stair does kind of look like it's floating, but that's okay. I think we're okay there. Let's see what it looks like in playing the game here. So here we are on our cliff. And if I jump down, we got the random water tower we placed and the random windmill we placed. I should be able to go up these back stairs, no problem. Look at that, not a problem at all. That's excellent. And how's the front look? We're definitely hovering off the ground. So I'm gonna move this down a hair, which is fine. Oh yeah, I can see that's hovering off the ground. That should do it. Yeah, we look good now. Got our little steps. Good to go. So there we go. Bank's placed. It's got our railing. We can get up the backside. We should be able to walk in the bank. In fact, you know what? While we're here, what I'll do is I'll go like this. I'll select my player armature, which is in the player folder. And I'll go here and I'll go Control Shift F. And now my player's right there. I'm just going to move it down. There we are. So now when I play, it should be right in front of the bank. Gotta go to the bank. And we're in the bank. That's all the bank's got. Nothing's in here. There's a casket in the bank. I don't know why that's like that. But there we go. And this needs to be covered with something, you know? So we can totally do that. And then we'll put a few other buildings in here and we'll have a little area, you know? And then we just need to decide how large the map's going to be, because we could shrink our terrain down. I don't know. I might. I mean, it's kind of hard because if you look, this is our entire terrain, this whole area. So if this is going to be one little town, I mean, it's a western, so there's going to be a lot of open space for sure. Like maybe a town here, you know, maybe a town, you know, kind of in the middle, you know. Callie, how are we doing, bud? You know, so there's all sorts of different things we could do. But let's go back to our player. And let's throw in a couple more props while we're here. So first off, I think a good spot for this water tower is going to be like right over here. Like we'll go bank, boom, water tower, right? Like thinking right there. Let's pop it into the ground just a tad. There we are. Boom. Water tower. Good to go. Yeah, because I think that makes a good good point. Now this windmill looking thing, you know, we'll have to figure out where that's going to go, because I think honestly there's got to be another building in here. You know, near the saloon. So I'd say, you know, maybe put a porta john there, right? Why not? Is it backwards? I think it's backwards. Yes, it was. There we go. Great. That's the bank. This is the jail. Now the hotel. I think we need the hotel, but I think the hotel is probably gonna be one of the first things you see when you come into town. You know, so the hotel probably gonna sit like somewhere like that. You know, you ride into town, boom, it's the hotel. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That works. You know, and then you can continue, like there's the, where's the ammo shop thing? Barbershop, ammunition. You know, I think that'd be important. That's the saloon. Here we go. Trading post. Definitely want the trading post, right? Let's hold control. So then we can see, like, obviously the trading post needs to come up. Trading posts would probably be over more. They wouldn't be like right on top of each other. The buildings wouldn't per se. You know, bring it out of here. Here we go. So now we got the trading post. You know, because then we can add all the boardwalks in and all that good stuff. Because they had, is this it? Yeah. You know, so like in between here. Yeah, so there we go. A boardwalk situation. You know, this building needs to come up too. Here we are. So we should be able to get in some of these. Let's, or I don't know if they have doors or not. Let's find out. Okay, so the supply shop's open. Boom, we can get inside. Great. We're inside. Wonderful. We're outside. Great. The hotel's doors. Oh, we can't get up the stairs, so that's a problem. I gotta put more stairs there. Oh, there we go. We can't get in the doors. So let's see if we can put a collider on the doors. Double front window. Oh, that's the front window. Double door? Oh, and the window. Okay, but we want the door. So double door. What do we got on it? We got a box collider. Okay, so this is super easy. So, right? So this is just a box collider. So you walk into it, nothing happens to it. But if I put a rigid body on it, and I do use gravity, the pivot should be right there. I should be able to push this door now. Let's go see. Oh, it fell. Because I had too much gravity on it. That's funny. But as you can see, I still can push the door. It just fell down, which is not what I wanted to happen. Let's try that again. Use gravity? No. And if you never know what something is, you can hover over it, and usually it gives you tooltips. No, it's not going to give me tooltips. It's kinematic. I think that's the one I want. And this is like a lot of it when it comes to Unity. Sometimes you just need to like muck around until, you know, until you get it figured out. So let's see. I should be able to go up the stairs, jump, and it won't let me push it. But I'm willing to bet if I turn this to 0, oh, 0, 0. I just push the door in. I'd have to set up another prefab so it has a hinge type stuff, but yeah, essentially that's how we do it. We put a rigid body on it, set all the factors to 0 so it uses gravity, so I could literally push the door open. I would just have to put the pivot hinge to hold it in place. But yeah, that's the start to whatever this sneaky kind of spy. What did ARE call this? Stealth game. Yeah. So we're gonna make a Western themed stealth game where you play this working lady, and you have to get pieces of information, and you know, you either bring it back to maybe like the bad guy, the villain, or you bring it back to the sheriff, and you know, depending on that, that's what the game will be all about. So there'll be like we'll probably put in kind of like side quests and things to go find a piece of information or something, and you got to bring it back to somebody else. And you know, this is this project in particular this is what I'll be working on Tuesdays. Kind of moving here forward. This particular project, we'll just kind of build it together on stream, and that's probably when I'll work on it. And then streaming again tomorrow, weather dependent, because I'm supposed to get a bunch of snow, so that could really mess things up for me with having to shovel the driveway and things like that, because we're supposed to get like 6 to 11 inches or something. I don't know. But as of right now, I'm planning on streaming tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. GMT, diving back into Unity, and talking about some. I'll be diving back into Unity. We'll be taking a look at Forsaken Fortress, which is the action RPG that I'm working on to release on Steam. So that's what we'll be diving into tomorrow. And then we'll be talking about some pieces of streaming kit and gaming kit that I got recently. So we'll be taking a look at on stream. I plan on not only diving into the Unity stuff, working on the game a little bit, but we'll be taking a look at this, which is the Logitech G Cloud, right? So we'll take a look at that tomorrow on stream together. Talk about it, talk about what I like about it, why that's the route I went rather than something like a Steam Deck or another option. And then we'll talk a little bit about this guy too. Let's see if y'all can see it. I don't know if the cable's long enough. It might be. It might be. Come on, make it. We're talking about this streaming audio controller thing that I got here. So we'll discuss that a little bit. It's actually a really cool audio interface that was pretty cheap. So for any fellow content creators out there, you might find some value in that too. So yeah, tomorrow's kind of a mishmash of things, primarily the Unity stuff, but we'll chit-chat about the Logitech G Cloud. We'll chit-chat about the audio interface. So if that interests you, come back tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. Check that out. If the stream gets canceled due to weather or something crazy, you can find it on Twitter and let me know there. If you're looking to get in touch with me or looking to get more information on the different projects I got going on, stuff I'm working on, you can head over to itsjustjoe.live. So I've got all my contact information and write up about the action RPG. There's going to be a write up about the zombie game I built with my kid is going to go up on there. Hoping to get that game out by the end of the week on itch.io for pay what you want. So if you want to download it for free, you can. If you want to donate $2, great. Any money generated from that game being on itch is just going to go back into my action RPG that I'm hoping to release on Steam. At least a developer build, hoping to release on Steam within the next 90-ish days, right? No, within the next 60-ish days. End of March is what I'm shooting for. So I'll be tomorrow. It's really going to be laying out certain pieces of the game in Forsaken Fortress, so we can take some screenshots, start recording clips for the trailer, that type of thing. So we'll talk about that process. So if you're interested in kind of how to do that in Unity or how I'm going to do it in Unity, definitely come back tomorrow. Big shout out to Callie, Lo-Fi, Crow, ARE, Squids, N7, SPG, Jeff. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. I hope I got everybody. But yeah, big shout out to everybody that came by. I appreciate all y'all support. Awesome stream. But it's getting late on my end, so we're going to wrap this show up. I'm It's Just Joe. This has been Creating Games, and catch me next time. We'll make some more cool stuff. We'll build out this Western stealth spy game thing and see what it ends up being. Yeah, catch me tomorrow, 10 p.m. We'll talk about making a trailer, screenshots, all that good stuff, all the final touches I need to get everything over to Valve to get my coming soon page up on Steam for my game that should have a developer build available the end of March, and keep tuned on Twitter and all that good stuff for other game stuff and things that I'm into. And hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for coming by. Y'all take care.